discuss about a lot of property documents and property titles here on my channel. I've done episodes where I've discussed about the CFO, the government allocation, and the Gazette. But in this episode of Meet Property Guide, we'll be looking about a comprehensive guide into the 7 different property titles and property documents here in Nigeria, and what each of these property documents, what they represent. If you are coming across a video like this for the first time, this is Meet Property Guide Property channel, and this is where we discuss everything real estate. Either you are looking to buy, invest, or sell a property here in Nigeria. If you have been learning a lot from our videos, this is another opportunity for you to finally subscribe and be a part of the channel. If you are also viewing this for the first time, after watching this particular episode and this guide, you can also view our previous guides, view our previous episodes. There are a lot of topics that we have already covered. So let's go into it. Let's look at the 7 different property titles, property documents we have here in Nigeria, and let's look at the different importance and roles of each of these property documents. The first property document that we'll be looking at and we'll be reviewing is the survey plan. The survey plan is the most basic property document here in Nigeria. A lot of realtors and a lot of lawyers are going to argue that a survey plan is not a property title, which is a bit true, but it's also a very important document and a very basic document that you must have on the property. The survey plan will show the size of the property, either it's a land or it's a house, to show the coordinates of the property, the dimension the property is sitting on, where exactly the property is located will also be on the survey plan, and a lot of other property perfections and documentation that you may want to do on the property, like you want to do governor's consent, you want to do CFO, they will always require for a survey plan. So regardless of the property that you have, either it's a land, it's a house, it's very, very important that you have a survey plan on that property. And also, if you can, it's also very, very important that you try to register the survey plan into a red copy survey plan. The second property title, the second property document we'll be reviewing is the deed of assignments. Most time we call it the deed. The deed of assignment is a very, very important property document and property title, and that's why I always repeat it in my videos that paying for a property and then getting receipts of purchase is not enough. The receipt only acknowledge that the property sellers have received payment from you, but the receipt does not represent that they have transferred their rights on that property onto you. So that's why you need a deed of assignments. Regardless, either you are buying from an estate company, you are buying from an individual, you are buying from a family, you must always ensure they sign a deed of assignment to you for them to relinquish all the rights they have on that property to you. And also, any perfect, just like the survey plan, any perfection you want to do on the property, you are also going to need a deed of assignment for that. If you want to do CFO, you want to do governor's consent, they are always going to require for a deed of assignment. So after you have bid for a property, the next step for you is to get the survey, which will be showing the size and the shape of the land or the of what the house is sitting on, and then the deed of assignment representing that the owners have now rightfully and legally transferred their rights on that property onto you. The property title, the next property document is what we call a Gazette. I had an episode of my channel just a few weeks ago where I talked about the Gazette title and then the CFO. The Gazette is also a very strong property title here in Nigeria, and one thing that you have to note about the Gazette is a Gazette is not given to individuals, a Gazette is not given to companies or corporate organizations. A Gazette is given to communities and families. So for the name that will be on the Gazette, it has to be either the name of a family or it has to be the name of a community. And a Gazette is only given by a state government. So we have Lagos State Government Gazette, we have Ogun State Government Gazette, Oyo State Government Gazette. Each state here in Nigeria can always issue a Gazette to a particular family or a particular community. And this Gazette grants that family and community the rights of ownership to that particular area of land that is indicated in the Gazette. So this is what happened. If a Gazette is given to a family or is given to a community, they have the right to that land. Now, when this family, when they sell any portion or any part within that gazetted area, they need to give that particular individual or that particular corporate body a deed of assignment to show that they have legally transferred their rights on that land to that particular individual or to that particular corporate body. Now, just because the family or the community have sold some part of that land, that does not terminate the Gazette. The Gazette is still very much active, because what the Gazette does is that it protects that land and protects that property from government acquisition. So that means the government cannot take up that property without adequate compensation. So, and then secondly, the government have also recognized the right of that family or the right of that community to that parcel of land too. So they can settle there, they can farm there, and they can also sell within that area in the Gazette. The property title that we'll be reviewing, and property document we'll be reviewing is approved excision. Or let's just say excision, because there are a number of excision. They are going to hear something like excision block, proposed excision, approved excision, village excision, and so on. All of them are excision as long as the government have approved it. Now, before you can get a Gazette, the land has to be excised, which means that the government must have released that land before they now give the community or the family a Gazette on that land. So the first step before a property can get gazetted is that it must be excised. So that means a property that is at excision level is just a step below before it gets to Gazette. Although I can't confirm fully, but I'm not very sure that you can get CFO on a property that is in excision if it has not been gazetted. But I'm very confident that any property that is gazetted already, you can get a CFO on that particular property. So approved excision is also a very good title for you to buy, but you still have to wait a bit for the government to put it in the official Gazette, and then the Gazette title is on it, and then you can go for your CFO. The property title that I'll be reviewing in this particular episode is the government allocation. Now, the government allocation is just like the opposite of government approved excision. Government approved excision and government allocation are just like the same stage. They are like the same stage of title. Now, government approved excision means that the government have released that land, but you are waiting for the land to get gazetted. But the government allocation is for a property that already falls within a government acquisition. That means that land already belongs to the government, but the government have sold that land, they have released that land to that particular individual or company. The person have paid the government for it, and then the government have now allocated that land to that person. In the previous video on my channel also, we are talking about government allocation. So a government allocation is also a land that is free from the government, but one thing you just need to understand is that the government did not release that land. Actually, that individual or that company bought that land already from the government, and the government have released that land to them. Now, just like the government approved the excision and Gazette, from the government allocation, you can now go and get a CFO on that property. So, the government allocation is also another very, very important property title here, which you need to understand. And whenever you see the word government allocation, does not mean that the property belongs to the government. The government have already allocated that land, but you still have to go a step higher to go for a CFO. Next one is governor's consent. Now, the governor's consent is also a very good property title here in Nigeria, and also a very important property document. Now, one of the things you need to understand about the CFO is a CFO is only issued once on a particular property. Now, whenever that property has changed hands, then what will be issued is what we call a governor's consent. So the governor's consent is equivalent to a CFO. As strong as a CFO is, that's also as strong as what a governor's consent is. The only difference is just that the CFO is originally issued to one person or to one particular individual's name or corporate body's name, while the governor's consents have shown that that property have been changing hands from time to time, either from this particular original person that had the CFO to another person, or even the previous owner had the governor's consent, would have sold to you, and you also are going to have a governor's consent on that property. A governor's consent is stronger than government allocation, because government allocation is not CFO, but the governor's consent already has CFO. It's just that the property have changed hands. So that's just one of the things that you need to understand about these different property titles. The governor's consent is stronger than government allocation. The governor's consent is stronger than government approved excision. And the only property document that stands side by side with the governor's consent is the CFO. So anywhere, or maybe you want to apply for a mortgage, you want to apply to raise a loan, and they are asking for a CFO property, if you also have a property that has governor's consent, you can still present that document or that property to, it's still going to work, that's still going to accept it, because it's just that the governor's consent is equivalent to a CFO in a lot of ways. The seventh property title, the seventh property document we'll be reviewing is the CFO. I'm keeping it short because I'm just reviewing this property document. If you want a full exclusive detail on any of these property titles, just go to our channel. We have different topics that we have covered on each of these. I have a topic that I've covered about the CFO, I've covered a topic about government allocation, covered a topic about the Gazette too. Now, the CFO is the apex property title and property document that we have here in Nigeria, and a number of people have asked me before that when a property has a Gazette or government allocation, why should I go for a CFO? Why should I still get a CFO on that property? Now, this is how it works. Now, remember I told you a Gazette is given to a family or a community. Now, if that family or that community sell, let's say the Gazette is given to that family for 50 acres. Now, they sold 20 acres from that land to maybe a particular individual or corporate organization. They sign the deed of assignment, which is to show that legally this property have changed hands. So which means that if I buy the property or anybody buys the property from the family and goes to apply and process a CFO on that property, that person can just go and sleep. If the family like, they can sell it to 16 other people, that's the problem. As long as I have a CFO on that property and the CFO is genuine, I know that I will always still get my property back. And any other person that have bought that property have just wasted their funds. So that's why even buying a Gazette property is not enough. You can just secure your investment and then apply for a CFO on that property. That also applies for if you are buying a property or freehold too. In case of any encumbrance or any dispute on that property, you know that your investment is safe and secured because you already got a CFO on that property. That's just one of the very biggest advantage of the CFO, because no two properties will have a single CFO. The CFO is only be issued once. So once I have a CFO on the property and then someone else buy the property, I want to go and get a CFO on that same property, what the government just tell them is, no, this property already has a CFO. There's someone that have already gotten a CFO on that property. So the new buyer would already know that he's already wasted his fund or he's already got into a loss, and can easily start fighting the family to get his money back, because he knows that for that party to already have a CFO already and is buying from the family, he has already bought from the wrong party. So that's just one of the advantages of the CFO property. Is the apex property title here. So you got the government allocation on the property, you got the Gazette on the property. For you to also perfect the title of that property, you still need to go for a CFO. And a lot of mortgages, a lot of financial, if you want some financial loans and financial opportunity on your property also, a lot of these companies are also going to require the property have either a CFO or have a governor's consent. Feel free to comment on our page, feel free to comment here about any of these property titles. You have a property without any of these titles, you don't have a survey plan, you don't have a deed of assignment on property that you have, you can drop a comment on that. Or if you have any of these titles, maybe you have a deed of assignment, you have a survey plan on that particular property, but you want to get it up to CFO, or you have a property that is already on CFO, but you want to get governor's consent on that property, you can also drop a comment on that, or you can just reach us directly on our WhatsApp number on our screen. I'm always going to guide you on different ways and different process that you can take for you to perfect the title that you have on any property. So that's 7 different property titles, probably 7 different property documents here. The survey plan, deed of assignment, Gazette, government approved excision, government allocation, governor's consent, and then the CFO. So if you have learned a lot again from this video, as we always do, kindly support us, give us a thumb up, a like, share with your friends, and also kindly subscribe to our channel. We are looking for a lot of subscribers, and that's one of the ways that you can also support us. So as you may know, property guy on the planet, your property advisor, your property consultant, Rabi Mustafa, thanks again for your time, thanks again for your attention, and thanks again for watching another episode of Meet Property Guy. See you later.